One of the quickest and most efficient ways to improve your language learning is by reading. And so here are 6 titles that I think you should pick up in order to improve your French, if that's something you want to do this year. First is Albert Camus' L'Exile et le royaume. It means Exile and the Kingdom, I guess. This won the Nobel Literature Prize in 1957. It's a collection of short stories, and it has one of my favorite short stories in it that I read while I was in undergrad. L'hôte, the host or the guest, depending how you want to translate it. It's a story of existentialism, of power relations. But the nice thing about Albert Camus is that he's accessible writer for someone who is only just starting to read native French material instead of things like graded readers and adapted text. There's nothing wrong with those things, just if you want to move on to more natural writing, more native writing, Albert Camus is a good candidate. And this is a nice, slim collection of stories that get their hooks in you without being super loud. Obviously, Albert Camus' L'étranger, the stranger or the outsider, depending on which side of the Atlantic you're in. This is a very slim book, and it is a very easy book. It was the first book that I read all the way from start to finish in French. You can see in this edition, which is the one that I had when I first attempted to learn, the first couple front pages are falling out from use, but if you can see that, I have words that I underlined because I didn't know what they meant, and so I wanted to try to find the definitions. And now I read this book every year, and it's something that I think if you're looking to read a book in French, written in French, I think it's a really easy place to start. A less approachable but nevertheless worthwhile place to start is Kamel Daoud's Meursault, contre-enquête. It is a response to, conversation with, challenge to The Stranger. You should read The Stranger first. The Stranger, which is the story of Meursault, a French pied noir, meaning a French person who lives in Algeria, born in Algeria, part of French colonialism of Algeria. He shoots and kills an Arab. I actually wrote my senior capstone thesis in undergraduate on the problem of, okay, what happened then? Who is the stranger of the title, right? Because he kills this Arab man. You never learn his name. You don't find out what happens to his body. And even the court proceedings aren't even about the crime of killing this man. It's about acting strange. You'll see what I mean. Go read it. But this book gives voice to that Arab's brother, who narrates the story in his own absurd way, in his own absurd take. Again, it is both a conversation with, a challenge to the story of the stranger and what was done to occlude the victims. Speaking of existentialism, L'Enfance d'un chef. Super, super, super fun book. Weird book. It means childhood of a leader. Rob Patz randomly played the character in an adaptation of this movie. I don't know. It is the pre-Hitler story. So this was written before Hitler came to power. So it's even more interesting to note that this came out before the rise of Hitler. It is the story of a young man who cannot decide for himself what he is. It's a sort of coming of age novel. It starts off when he's very little. As he gets older, he starts to get involved in what today might be called incel type situations. You can imagine what happens. It's a slim book. It's a very easy read. You wouldn't need to dip out to get into the dictionary all that much. I really strongly recommend it. This is funny and dark and very timely, unfortunately. Another fun story collection, well, would you call it a story collection? Another fun title is Raymond Queneau's Exercices du style. This is a collection, sort of. It's the same story told in a bunch of different ways using a bunch of different styles. What he does in this book is he tells the same general story, more or less, when he gets on a bus and they bump into somebody and complains about his buttons and there's a hat. It's a very simple story. Nothing happens really. He tells it in a bunch of different ways. Apostrophe, fantomatique, paréchèse, aparté, ampoulé, syncope, Therese, Epocope. It's just funny. I find it funny. You should take this and try to see if you can appreciate the differences in styles in the story. Partially what makes it so approachable. It also makes it difficult. So have fun. And my last one would be go grab yourself a collection of Guy de Maupassant stories. One of my favorite stories is Le Horla. He's got a bunch of other really wonderful ones. There's this collection, Maupassant, L'Horla et autres contes fantastiques, the Horla and other fantastic tales. There's also this one, Cruel and Fantastic Tales. But essentially, any good collection is going to have Le Horla and a couple of other really fun, weird stories by Guy de Maupassant, who I really enjoy reading and is a little antiquated, so it's a little tougher, but I think it would really do a lot for enriching your vocabulary. And the most important thing when you're finding native material in a foreign language is that you actually enjoy the material. That is what is going to help it become comprehensible input, because you work at it long enough that you catch the rhythm and you decide that it is something you want to finish and enjoy and maybe pursue further down the road. So those are some of my favorite titles. Let me know in the comments if you have other suggestions, and I hope you enjoy.